With a top speed of 40 kilometers per hour, Skizee gives you the adrenaline rush of alpine skiing while giving the freedom of cross-country. 2 electric drive units integrated into a ski-based system, adapted to low-temperature operation, an enclosed drivetrain sealed against snow and ice, and a high-capacity battery define the technical foundation of this powered skiing platform. The battery provides an operating time of roughly 1.5 to 3 hours, depending on terrain. Charging is done through a standard wall outlet, with faster charging options available. Assisted speeds typically range from about 9 to 16 miles per hour. A handle mounted allows precise power adjustment, while a safety cutoff stops propulsion if the skier falls. The skier remains upright and actively involved, relying on balance, edging, and body position in the same way as with alpine. From the first moment you see it moving across the snow, it's clear this vehicle isn't trying to act like anything that came before it. It doesn't roar, it doesn't need steep hills, and it doesn't expect the rider to know how to ski. But it quietly glides forward and reacts almost instantly when you touch the throttle. This is an electric snow vehicle that runs on rear tracks and uses a smooth sled-style front to stay on top of the snow. 2 electric motors work together to produce about 16 horsepower, pushing it to a top speed close to 19 miles per hour. That speed is limited electronically, so things stay predictable. 2 batteries gives around an hour of ride time, with range varying between 6 and 18 miles, depending on whether you are climbing or staying on flatter snow. There are no handlebars or skis guiding the front. Direction changes happen through the rear tracks and subtle shifts in body weight. Press the throttle, lean slightly, and the vehicle slides into turns instead of carving them. It feels closer to drifting than traditional snow riding, which many people pick up quickly. The rider sits low, close to the snow, which helps it feel planted even while sliding. Since 2010, Timbersled has led the industry in developing the sport of snow biking. And it's interesting how a small dirt bike can take on winter conditions with the right mechanical changes. When snow covers the ground and regular tires stop working, this conversion system steps in by replacing the wheels with a ski up front and a track in the back. That simple swap changes how the bike interacts with snow and opens the door to riding in places that would otherwise be off limits during colder months. The rear suspension uses a dual arm layout with internal floating piston shocks. In simple terms, this helps the track stay in contact with the snow while riding across trails and open areas. The suspension absorbs bumps and changes in the surface so the bike doesn't feel unpredictable. At the heart of the system is a chain-driven setup that transfers engine power to the rear track. The track spreads the bike's weight over a wider area, which helps it stay on top of the snow instead of digging in. Up front, the ski turns with the handlebars and guides the bike in a way that still feels familiar to anyone who has spent time on a dirt bike. Are you tired of cleaning snow from your yard every day? We have the perfect invention for you. Instead of heating from below the ground, this system works by placing heat directly where people walk. The mats are laid on top of existing surfaces like concrete and asphalt. Because the heat comes from the surface itself, snow and ice melt where shoes make contact. It runs on a regular 120-volt household outlet, and then uses a transformer to lower the voltage before it reaches the mat. A medium mat typically uses between 300 and 600 watts while it is operating. When powered, the surface stays above freezing, usually between 40 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which allows snow to start melting and helps prevent ice from forming again. Inside the mat, a sealed heating cable is embedded within a durable rubber that features a textured surface to improve footing. You can choose between 20 by 60 or 30 by 48 inches, as well as stair mats shaped to fit standard steps. These mats are meant to be used during the winter season and removed afterward. There is no need to alter the surface or apply adhesives. Multiple mats can be linked together using a single power unit. Some setups are turned on by hand, while others can be connected to controls that respond to temperature changes. Do you want to go camping, but it's snowy and cold outside? Well then, let's check out the Snow Cruiser. This sled is not powered on its own and must be towed. What sets it apart from open sleds is the fully enclosed cabin, which keeps you protected from wind. The outer shape helps reduce drag while still leaving enough space inside, something that becomes noticeable on longer trips. It measures about 10 feet long, around 4 feet wide, and close to 5 feet tall. It can carry around 770 to 840 pounds. Movement comes from 2 metal skis with replaceable plastic runners, supported by a suspension system with shock absorbers. For more, there is also a 2-inch ball-style hitch that allows it to be pulled by most snowmobiles. The outer shell is made from fiberglass reinforced plastic, a material chosen because it holds up well in very cold temperatures. Inside, the cabin provides roughly 8 feet of usable length, and it weighs from about 210 to 310 pounds. Metal reinforcements are placed in key areas, such as the frame and suspension mounts, helping the sled keep its shape. The interior commonly includes padded seats, seat belts, handholds, and soft surfaces that help reduce vibration and noise while moving. Large side windows allow passengers to see outside. In some configurations, the seats can be removed or folded to create more room for cargo. Imagine waking up to find your yard path cleared of snow after a whole night of snowfall. The machine that makes this possible weighs about 143 pounds and runs on battery. It moves on rubber tracks and can clear snow up to 12 inches deep, throwing it about 12 feet away from where it's working. On a full charge, it can run for around an hour and a half, and it takes roughly 2 hours to charge back up. Depending on the snow and the shape of the area, it can clear close to 1,500 square feet in one session. Snow is pulled in by a rubber-tipped auger and pushed out through a rotating chute, while positioning beacons help it know where to work, and LiDAR sensors allow it to detect objects in its path. For safety, it includes automatic shutdown if the auger gets stuck, an emergency stop, and sound alerts, and it can be controlled or monitored through a mobile app or a handheld remote. Instead of someone steering it, this machine handles snow by navigating on its own. Once a few beacons are placed around a driveway or walkway, it understands the boundaries and plans how to move through the space. As it works, it constantly checks how much resistance it's getting from the snow and adjusts its movement to match what it's dealing with. In daily use, this type of snow clearing robot works best for homes or small properties that get regular snowfall. Shoveling snow is definitely backbreaking work, but we have to do it, or we will be late for work. And believe it or not, we can do it the wrong way and end up with a sheet of ice. Well, there is an easy way to do it fast and right. At its heart, this system is a motor-powered. The motor sits inside a sealed housing to protect it from winter conditions and turns a rotating blade that pushes snow out of the way. It has enough force to deal with heavy snow, and the clearing height can be adjusted depending on how much snow you expect. Sensors measure snowfall and surface temperature, then send that information to a control unit that decides when the system should run. Everything mounts to a modular track system that can follow flat, curved, or sloped surfaces. Snow is moved away as it lands, keeping walkways and driving areas usable during the storm. There's also the option to control it manually through wireless controls. Because the system avoids heavy buildup, it doesn't need as much energy as traditional snow removal methods. You know there is always classic way of moving snow with just a shovel, but this one has a wide blade, about 30 to 36 inches across and around a foot tall. What makes the shovel different is how you use it. Instead of lifting snow over and over, you push it. As you walk forward, the blade collects the snow, and the wheels carry most of the weight. You just guide it along and move the snow to the side or to the end of the area you're clearing. It feels more like pushing something out of the way than picking it up and throwing it. Because of that pushing motion, your body stays in a more natural position. You're not bending as much at the waist, and you don't have to twist your body repeatedly. Your back, shoulders, and arms still get a workout, but the effort feels more spread out instead of hitting one area hard. It works best on flat sloped driveways, sidewalks, patios, and similar spaces. Fresh snow and moderately packed snow are easier to deal with, and the wide blade helps clear a good amount in each pass. When the snow is very deep or icy, it may take a few passes, and you might still want a regular shovel for edges. It's made from tough molded plastic with a curved shape. The front edge is smooth, so it slides over concrete without scraping things up. This video was done up on Mount Hood, Oregon, at the historic ski resort, and it shows vintage Tucker Sno-Cat. It runs on 4 wide rubber tracks, and each track sits on its own corner of the vehicle and can move on its own. That matters because snow is never flat. As the surface changes, the tracks stay in contact, spreading the weight and keeping the vehicle moving forward without digging in. It has diesel engines that fall roughly between 130 and 210 horsepower. Steering works differently than on most tracked vehicles. Rather of slowing one side down to turn, the front and rear axles pivot using hydraulics. The vehicle changes direction in a smooth arc, which helps keep traction. The cab is insulated and heated, with defrost systems to keep visibility clear. Controls are laid out for long hours of operation rather than speed or sport. Depending on the model, it can carry anywhere from 2 people to larger groups with gear. You'll find these machines working quietly in ski areas and research sites. When winter weather hits and roads turn slick, getting traction becomes the main concern. Tire socks are one of those tools people often discover when chains are not an option. They are fabric covers that slide over your tires and help the rubber grip snow and ice better, especially during short trips. The fabric wraps tightly around the tire and adds friction where rubber alone can struggle. This helps reduce wheel spin when starting from a stop and gives better control when slowing down. Since there are no chains, there is less shaking while driving. Putting them on does not take much time. You stretch the sock over the top of the tire, roll the car forward a little, and finish pulling it into place. Elastic edges help keep the fabric centered as the wheel turns. Taking them off is just the same process in reverse. They are made from woven synthetic fibers and do not contain any metal parts. Each pair is matched to a specific tire size, such as 205/55 R16, which refers to the tire's width, sidewall height, and wheel diameter. They are sold in sets of 2 and are meant to be used on one axle. Most are safe to use at speeds up to about 30 miles per hour and should only be used while snow or ice is present. When you look at this glove, it feels like the kind of winter gear most people are familiar with. It's made with a fabric on the outside that helps keep snow from soaking in too quickly, and inside there's a soft lining that makes it comfortable to wear for longer periods. There's also insulation inside, similar to what you'd find in many everyday winter gloves, which helps hold in warmth when it's cold outside. This isn't the kind of glove meant for extreme conditions or technical winter sports. It works more as a general option for cold days, like when you're heading out for a walk or spending a bit of time outdoors. The way it's put together helps block wind and cold air, while still letting your hands move naturally. The inside lining makes a noticeable difference in how the glove feels on your hands. It's soft and doesn't feel scratchy, which is nice if you're wearing them for a while. You can still grip things, open doors, or carry items without having to take them off, which matters during normal day-to-day use. When you first come across this Avalanche airbag vest, what catches your attention is how different it feels from the usual backpack-based systems. Instead of adding protection to something you already carry, this one becomes part of what you wear. It sits around your torso like a vest, so the safety system stays with you. In terms of how it works, the idea is fairly simple. The vest contains an airbag that inflates when you pull a handle. A small burst of compressed argon gas starts the inflation, and at the same time, the system pulls in surrounding air. Together, this creates a large air pocket around your upper body. One thing people often notice is the freedom this setup gives. You can wear a backpack underneath the vest, or skip one entirely, and either way, the airbag works the same. If you need to take your pack off for a break or a quick climb, the vest stays on, so the protection does not change. This snow vehicle feels less like something pulled from a showroom, and more like an idea someone wanted to see come to life. It's long and narrow, about 76 inches from front to back, and the main body is only around 6 inches wide, though the handlebars stretch the full width closer to 26 inches. It runs on a small gas motor, similar to what you'd find on a scooter. That motor sends power to a narrow rear track borrowed from the old Chrysler SnowRunner, which already had a reputation for being different. There's no wide stance. You sit on it the way you would a motorcycle. This project came from Boss Creative and seems to exist more as an exploration than a finished product. There's no talk of pricing or release plans. Fat bike ski designer Brooke Scatchard rips around on a 1,300 watt electric fat bike with a 5-inch rear tire, and the setup is seriously impressive, enabling some incredibly fun riding. Rather of a traditional front wheel, these fat bike skis replace it with a long, flat surface that spreads your weight out across the snow. Most skis are around 3 to 3.5 feet long and just over 4 inches wide, weighing only a few pounds. So once you get moving, the bike still feels easy to control. They attach directly to the front fork using common axle sizes, and many setups include adapters, so they fit different bikes. Most riders start with a front ski only. The rear wheel stays a tire, which means pedaling and braking still feel normal. Right away, what catches our eye is how different this snow vehicle feels compared to traditional winter machines. It really feels more relaxed and less intimidating, especially for someone who just wants to enjoy being outdoors in winter. The vehicle runs on a 48-volt electric system that uses 2 hub motors to deliver around 2,000 watts of power. In simple terms, that means it has enough push to move over snow. Power comes from a removable battery that stores about 840 watt-hours of energy. It can move for about 12 miles per hour. That makes it fast enough to be fun, but not so fast that it feels hard to control. Depending on conditions, it can travel as far as 31 miles on a charge. It can carry up to around 265 pounds, and the machine itself weighs close to 99 pounds. Movement comes from 2 rear tracks paired with a front ski, which gives it a planted feel on snow. Turning feels natural, and most people get comfortable with it quickly. Controls are simple. A thumb throttle handles acceleration, and magnetic brake cutoffs add an extra layer of control. The display shows speed, distance, and battery levels. Believe it or not, there's also regenerative braking, which puts a bit of energy back into the battery when slowing down. It's hard to stay focused when the cold keeps creeping in, especially during long days outside. This heated jacket takes a practical approach to that problem by adding controlled warmth where the body needs it most. The jacket runs on the M12 battery system and uses carbon fiber heating elements placed across the back, chest, and pocket areas. Heat is adjusted through a small LED button with 3 levels: high, medium, and low. On the lowest setting, it can provide warmth for up to about 12 hours. That makes it possible to get through most of a workday without thinking much about the battery once it's connected. Even when the heat is turned off, the inner lining helps hold on to body warmth. The outer fabric is flexible and stretches as you move. It also blocks wind and light rain, which helps when the weather changes unexpectedly. Adjustable cuffs and waist help fine-tune the fit, and the drop-tail back adds coverage when moving around. If you think that you have seen everything, then you are wrong. Wait until you see Christy. It uses 2 separate engines. One engine lifts the craft on a cushion of air, and the other pushes it forward. This setup may sound technical, but in practice it means the craft moves easily across ice and snow. The lift fan sits underneath and pushes air down to raise the hull, while a large propeller at the back provides forward motion. Together, they give the craft enough power to carry several people and still reach speeds close to highway driving on flat terrain. Around the bottom, a segmented skirt holds the air cushion in place. If part of the skirt wears out, individual sections can be replaced. Inside, the fully enclosed cabin changes the experience compared to open hovercraft. You are protected from wind, cold, and rain. The seating is arranged for 4 people, and visibility remains good thanks to windshield panels. This portable heater will keep you warm in the coldest conditions, heating up to 450 square feet on the ice, and lets you choose between 3 heat levels. Instead of only warming the air, it sends heat directly toward people and nearby objects, which helps the room feel warm faster. It runs on propane and gives you a couple of fueling options. You can use 2 1-pound propane cylinders that attach to the front, or connect a larger tank like a 5-pound tank. With the smaller cylinders, it can last up to a full day on the lowest setting, around half a day on medium, and several hours on high. For more, the heater shuts itself off if oxygen levels drop too low, or if the pilot flame goes out. These systems help reduce risks when it's used indoors. One useful detail is that it works without electricity. That makes it reliable during power outages. There's also a battery-powered fan you can use if you want the heat to spread more evenly across the room. And it is light enough, just 17 pounds. It starts with a push-button ignition and has a solid metal body with a front grille. Winter weather can be unpredictable, so it's best to be prepared. With AutoBoss adjustable, patent-pending design, clearing snow from tough spots is quick and easy. It's a small folding snow shovel made mostly from plastic, with the handle and blade formed together. There's a locking latch in the middle that lets it fold down for storage or lock into place when you need to use it. When folded, it's about 16 to 17 inches long, and it opens up a bit more when in use. The blade is plastic, which helps in cold conditions. It doesn't pull heat from your hands the way metal can, and it won't rust over time. While it doesn't have a sharp edge, it works well on packed snow and loose ice, which is usually what you're dealing with near tires. We have taken all of the great features built into the Pro 2 models and developed our top-of-the-line Elite Spin Series snowshoes, declares the company. When you step into deep snow, the first thing you notice with these snowshoes is how solid everything feels under your feet. They're made for a mix of snow conditions, from soft powder to icy paths. That shape helps keep the snowshoes from twisting when you walk over uneven ground, like buried rocks. Along the edges of the frame, there's built-in sawtooth traction. Instead of adding separate spikes, the grip is part of the frame itself, which helps it bite into snow and ice. One of the more noticeable features is the dial-based binding system. Instead of pulling and tightening straps, you turn a dial to snug the binding around your boot. It's easy to fine-tune the fit, even when your hands are cold or gloved. The toe area helps keep your foot from sliding forward, and the heel strap holds everything in place once it's tightened. The decking, which is the surface your boot rests on, uses a synthetic material called tech weave. It flexes slightly as you move, so your steps feel more natural, but it doesn't stretch out or feel loose after repeated use. Avalanche Snow Roof Removal System removes up to 1 ton of snow per minute, declares the company. As we all now know, piling up on a roof can quietly turn into a real problem. It adds weight to the structure and often leads to ice building up along the edges. Clearing that snow sounds simple, but climbing onto a cold, slippery roof is risky. This system takes a different approach that feels simple once you see how it works. The tool is made up of a long handle and a wide plastic slide that reaches the roof from the ground. When assembled, the handle extends to 16 feet, which is enough for most homes. Small wheels under the slide help it roll along the roof. What really sets it apart is how the snow is removed. Instead of pulling snow down towards you, you push the slide up under the snow layer. Once it is in place, gravity does most of the work. Switchback riding position feels natural, all thanks to Matrix platform, which keeps your weight centered, so steering feels connected. When you lean or shift your body, the sled reacts the way you expect it to. The sled weighs about 497 pounds dry, carries 11 gallons of fuel, and measures 125 inches long. Up front, the ski stance can be adjusted between 39 and 41 inches. Suspension travel comes in at 9 inches in the front and 16 inches in the rear, paired with a 15 by 146 inch trak. One thing that is important to mention is how calm the engine feels when you're on the throttle. It doesn't jump or surprise you, which make it easier to ride. The fuel and ignition systems quietly adjust for changes in elevation and temperature. The suspension does a good job of balancing comfort and control. The front end takes the edge off trail feedback, while the longer rear suspension helps the trak stay hooked up in softer snow. You can also fine-tune the shocks if you want a firmer or more relaxed feel. If you look at how this system works at its core, it's all about its mechanical setup. The attachment takes its power directly from the tractor as it moves, so there's no need to hook up hydraulics. Once it's mounted, the tractor's movement alone drives the cutting action. That keeps the setup simple and avoids extra connections that can slow things down. The ice is handled by 2 cutting sections, placed one behind the other. Each section is 47 inches wide, so the surface gets worked twice in a single pass. Each section has 4 pairs of cutter wheels, which means there are 16 wheels total. Every wheel is 10 inches across and fitted with 15 tough knives. Instead of scraping ice away, those knives strike it repeatedly, breaking it apart piece by piece. Each cutter wheel sits on its own spring-supported arm. That means the wheels can move up and down on their own as the machine travels. This matters because sidewalks and pedestrian areas are rarely flat. Ice forms in layers shaped by foot traffic, melting, refreezing, and water runoff. You see this most around ramps, driveway crossings, and sloped walkways. Using the attachment is fairly easy. It pairs with compatible municipal tractors, including trackless models, since there are no hoses or power shafts to deal with. Mounting and alignment are handled with an adjustable support leg, and removable weights let operators adjust balance depending on the job or transport needs. Think of this machine as a heavy rail car that helps railroads deal with snow and track upkeep. It's about 50 feet long and weighs close to 70 tons, so it's a serious piece of equipment. There's a large plow on the front and big adjustable wings on the sides, plus extra blades on some versions for more detailed work. The blades move using powered systems, first with air and later with hydraulics, so the crew can change their position while the train is moving. It doesn't move on its own and always works with locomotives. The operator sits in a raised cab with wide windows, which helps them see the area around it. The cutting edges are set a few inches below the top of the rail, so they can clear packed snow without hitting the rail itself. What makes it interesting is how it handles snow. Instead of just pushing snow to the side and leaving tall piles right next to the track, it spreads the snow farther away. The front blade cuts into the snow between and along the rails, and the side wings swing out to push that snow well away from the track. This leaves more open space and helps keep the snow from blowing right back in when the wind picks up. Whether you're new to winter sports or a seasoned pro, you'll find SNO-GO Ski Bikes to be an entirely new adventure that will have you eager for more. Instead of sitting down like on a typical ski bike, you stand upright and steer with handlebars, almost like riding a bike on snow. Underneath, there are 3 skis, 1 in front and 2 in the back. The whole setup weighs around 48 pounds and moves only by gravity. Everything responds directly to how you move your body. Each ski can pivot, but they're linked in a way that keeps them working as a group. When you lean or turn the handlebars, the skis tilt and bite into the snow at the same time. That's what helps it turn and slow down in a controlled way. It feels closer to carving on skis than sliding around, and the movement comes naturally even if you're not an experienced skier. The front ski is connected to a suspension fork that can be adjusted, which helps take the edge off bumps and changes in the snow. The handlebars feel familiar if you've ever ridden a mountain bike, and the upright stance keeps your weight centered. To slow down, just press the ski edges harder into the snow. Yooner is a lightweight and fun combination between sledding and skiing that really gets your heart pumping. You carve down the mountain just like you would on traditional skis, but you do so sitting down on a comfortable seat 20 centimeters from the ground with your feet in front of you. You ride with your legs slightly apart and your feet touching the snow. You lean your body in the direction you want to turn, and the ski underneath follows that movement. The handle helps guide those shifts, but most of the control comes from your body weight. When you want to slow down, you can drag your feet lightly, or lean into a turn so the ski edge grips the snow more. Because you're sitting low, balancing feels natural. There's no pressure to keep your weight perfectly centered like on skis. The single ski underneath carves smooth turns on groomed runs, and after a few minutes, most people start to feel comfortable controlling their speed and direction. Slegooning is a new winter sport in which you travel down a snow-covered slope in single-person crafts called Slegoons. The Slegoon won first prize in the UK Design Innovation in Plastics competition sponsored by Bayer AG and has received international press, including Blueprint magazine. There's no motor and no hidden systems. The rider sits inside a rounded frame instead of on top of a flat board. The seat is slightly leaned back, which helps keep the body low and balanced. The outside shape is smooth and curved, so if the sled rolls, it can keep sliding rather than catching and stopping right away.